He bit, barked and growled at everyone, trainers, rescuers, even his owner. No one dared to go near the German Shepherd until a silent little boy walked up to his cage. The staff screamed. They braced for disaster. But what happened next stunned them all. At the edge of the shelter grounds in the farthest kennel lived a German Shepherd. No one dared approach. His name was Ghost, not because he was quiet, but because he haunted the place. He'd arrived 6 months earlier, dragged in by animal control after being found chained behind an abandoned warehouse. From the beginning, he made it clear. Stay back. He growled at everyone. Volunteers, staff, even the shelter's most experienced handlers. Attempts to feed him required metal tongs. Water bowls had to be slid through a gap in the gate. Any effort to touch or train him was met with snarls, bared teeth and wild eyes. "He's too far gone," one worker whispered. "Too damaged." People stopped trying. His file was marked aggressive, and the shelter quietly began to discuss final options. They'd seen this before. Dogs broken by cruelty, unfixable by love alone. Ghost had been written off as dangerous, unpredictable, untouchable. Ghost's days were numbered. The shelter staff held a quiet meeting after hours. His file sat in the middle of the table, thick with incident reports, lunges, bites, refusal to eat, barking fits that lasted through the night. They'd exhausted trainers, medications, and every trick in the book. "We've tried everything," the director sighed. "He won't let anyone in." Some staff pushed back. "He's not evil, he's just terrified." But fear, they knew, could be just as dangerous. The official recommendation was heartbreaking. If no progress happened within 2 weeks, Ghost would be humanely euthanized. A few volunteers cried, others nodded in quiet acceptance. It was a decision made out of mercy, not malice. Ghost lay curled in his kennel, unaware of the clock now ticking above him. His eyes, once bright, had dulled into something vacant. Hope didn't live in that cage anymore. The staff walked away, heavy-hearted. They had no idea that salvation wouldn't come from a trainer or a new owner. It would come from a child. It was a warm Wednesday afternoon when Sarah walked into the shelter, holding the tiny hand of a boy named Liam. He was 5, newly placed in her care after a traumatic family separation, quiet, cautious, and always watching. Liam hadn't spoken more than a handful of words since arriving. Sarah, a long-time foster mum, believed in gentle exposure to healing. "Sometimes animals help more than people," she told the front desk clerk with a soft smile. She wasn't there to adopt, just to visit, maybe bring a little light into Liam's world. Volunteers led them through the shelter, pointing out friendly dogs and wagging tails. Liam showed no interest. He held on to Sarah's hand tightly, gaze distant, but then he stopped, his eyes fixed on the last kennel at the end of the row. Inside, Ghost stood motionless, watching them with the same guarded intensity. "No one goes near that one," a staff member warned, but Liam let go of Sarah's hand and walked toward the cage. Liam's small feet padded softly across the concrete floor, his little frame moving slowly but deliberately toward the final kennel. The room grew still. Sarah froze, heart pounding. "Liam," she whispered, reaching out but stopped when she saw his face. He wasn't scared, just calm, focused. Inside the cage, Ghost stood stiff, ears alert, body tense as a bowring. Every instinct in the staff screamed to intervene. This dog had never tolerated closeness, but Liam didn't know fear. Like most, he'd seen chaos, felt abandonment. Something about Ghost didn't scare him. The boy stopped just outside the gate and crouched low, placing one tiny hand gently on the metal bars. Ghost didn't lunge, didn't growl. He tilted his head slightly, sniffing the air, and lowered himself to the floor, mirroring the boy's posture. A stunned silence filled the room. No words were spoken, no commands given. But in that moment, something ancient and invisible passed between them. Two souls equally wounded, recognizing something familiar in the other. Liam remained crouched, his fingers lightly brushing the cold metal between him and the dog. Ghost didn't move,
but his eyes, so often hard and untrusting, had softened. His body once, a coil of tension, slowly eased to the ground. Sarah watched in disbelief. "He's calm," she whispered. A volunteer hovered nearby, ready to intervene, but there was no need. Liam slowly extended one hand through.
The bars. Everyone held their breath. Ghost didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned forward just enough to press his scarred, weathered snout into the boy's tiny palm. No growl, no bark, just a quiet, deliberate choice. Liam smiled, just the smallest curl of his lips. A wave of emotion rippled through the staff. Some had tried for months to earn that trust. And yet this silent child with no training or words had done what no one else could. He let him touch him, one staff member whispered, blinking back tears. It wasn't just contact, it was the beginning of something no one could explain. From that day forward, Liam returned to the shelter every afternoon with Sarah. He didn't ask to see any of the other dogs, only Ghost. The boy would sit cross-legged in front of the kennel, his small backpack beside him, and just be there. No talking, no toys, just presence. Ghost would rise when Liam arrived, walking calmly to the bars and lying down beside him, their eyes meeting through the gaps. Sometimes Liam would hum softly, barely audible. Other times he'd draw with crayons, sliding little sketches under the kennel gate. One day, Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out half a peanut butter sandwich. He tore in two and offered one piece to Ghost through the bars. The dog took it gently, like he knew it was sacred. Volunteers stopped tiptoeing past Ghost's kennel. He no longer growled at everyone, not friendly, but no longer frightening. Something had shifted, not with training force or food, but through silent, steady trust and a boy's unwavering presence. The shelter director watched from the office window as Liam pressed his forehead gently to the bars of Ghost Kennel, the dog mirroring him with a calm gaze. What once felt impossible now looked peaceful. Moved by their bond, the staff proposed something bold, a supervised trial adoption. Sarah hesitated at first. Liam was still healing, quiet as ever. Could they really handle a dog with that much trauma? But she saw the change in her foster son. He smiled, more now, slept through the night. He even spoke softly to Ghost, whispering things no adult ever heard. So they said yes. Ghost was brought home with careful preparation. At first he paced anxiously, but the moment Liam laid down on the carpet, Ghost curled beside him without command, resting his head on the boy's lap. They didn't need instructions, they needed each other. Each day brought tiny wins, Ghost wagging his tail, Liam laughing aloud, two broken souls under one roof, and together they were beginning to mend. Weeks passed, and what began as a trial became something permanent. The papers were signed. Ghost was officially adopted. The once untouchable dog now spent his days lounging beside Liam, following him from room to room like a shadow with fur. At the same time, something else changed.